Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, we had that opening taking place in 2018 where we had these Fedra soldiers talking, specifically one played by Josh Peck. I was like, is that Josh Peck? It sure as hell is. I was like, that's crazy. That's wild. That's so cool. But nevertheless, he's basically telling this story about some people, as he calls them, voters. They're civilians that one was like handing out pamphlets and stuff like that. And just, I mean, the whole point of the story is just to show you just how much of a dick Fedra is. We kind of already knew about that. The Kansas City situation being what it was and how that revolt turned into what it did kind of shows you, like, once again, as Henry put it best, like when you do this and that to people for like 20 years, they kind of turn it back and start doing it to you too. So, but yeah, we find out like one of the soldiers, because they're all laughing, but like, yeah, he smashed his guy's face in there, broke his teeth and stuff like that, ha ha ha. And then they're like, one guy's like, yeah, so why do we call them voters? And he's like, I don't know, that's just why we call them that. But then Jeffrey Wright playing Isaac says, we call them voters because it's meant to mock them because we took away their right to vote. And so, like, it's meant to be antagonistic. And he was like, I didn't mean anything by it. So he's like, yeah, you did. Because I forgot what the exact word he was, but he was kind of like, you're a jackass. So yeah, he's like, you're all Greenberg, so you're all going to stay here. I should also note, once again, I had to correct myself. I might not even know half this game's story because the more I've sat with it, I'm like, obviously the Isaac of it all, like I don't even really remember the wolves at all. So like, I think I don't remember that part of the story. I'm thinking rather than half, I know maybe a third of The Last of Us Part 2 story. But either way, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I've heard other people say this, if I'm not wrong, Jeffrey Wright is playing the same character he played in the game. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, like Isaac, because I was like, well, I know you're connected to the wolves, but you're with Fedra now, so I was like, how does that work? And he confronts these people, which I'm like, okay, they don't have scars, so they're not the Seraphites, they are wolves. But then, like, she's like, are you Isaac? And I was like, oh, that's interesting that she already knows your name. But he brings one soldier with him. I was like, that's so weird. You want to go out alone, but then you bring that one soldier. I was like, why? He's like, you're going to learn something. And then immediately goes in, throws a grenade, and blows everybody up and kills the driver who managed to get out of the truck. And the guy is like, he had his gun pointed at Isaac, but he drops it. And Isaac looks at him and is like, okay, you see what's going on. Now make a choice. So I think that soldier is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the same soldier later on when Isaac ends up killing that Seraphite. And that guy's like, good, they're monsters or whatever. He kind of deserved it. Those scars deserved it. I think that's the same guy, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, his hair is buzzed down at the beginning, but it's like grown out more because, I mean, obviously been like over a decade later. But kind of staying that vein of things, I'm going to just jump to the Isaac of it all, where we catch up with him present day as kind of the pseudo leader of the wolves. And it's so interesting because I wonder, did he have a change of heart? Like, did he just not like the way I mean, I guess it's understandable because like when you stay in a regime for so long, you kind of like, even if you kind of felt like, okay, maybe this, who knows if he was part of this, like how, like, because the show hasn't gone into it. I'm sure the games go into like how long Fedra has been around. I'm sure a lot of that information exists in like some of the notes and diary entries you find like scattered throughout the games, but they haven't really gone into it in the TV show. But Fedra being what it is, like, we have no idea. Has Isaac been a part of it since the beginning? Did he join part way through it? But once again, we know Fedra rules like a dictatorship and rules with like an iron fist and just kind of beating down people and kind of controlled people, and those who in Fedra kind of get off the fact is that they're powerful and they other civilians, because it's like we're the body, we're kind of judge, jury, and an executioner versus like the rest of the world and the regular civilians. So it makes you, I think, I wonder, was this, I guess this has to be, he's probably reached out to them before, but this was kind of like his test as part of the wolves, was just kind of doing this, because I think it all just wore down on him, and he felt like the only person on that in that Humvee, wouldn't even be a Humvee, but then the vehicle worth saving was that one guy who questioned why do we, because everyone else accepted it like, oh, we call them voters, but it's like, why? I don't know, it doesn't matter. The fact is, even one of them didn't just go along with the pack and was like, oh, why you needed someone like that, where it's like, you're not completely lost, you're someone I can bring along, so, and potentially you could be someone that can kind of see the light in an interesting term, considering like, well, the wolves are connected to the fireflies, so it's like, oh, saying the whole like, oh, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. But to be where he is now with the whole Scars situation, which is so interesting, because I refer to them as Scars in episode 3, because I guess I heard someone call them that, but they call themselves Seraphites. Scars are meant to be like the derogatory term for their group, or just kind of like, right, we're not going to call you Seraphites, we're going to call you Scars, because like it's meant to be kind of a spit in the face to their religion or whatever. And it's like, right, you guys worship this woman. She was just a woman that's dead now, but you guys act like she's something special. And he kind of goes on this whole soliloquy about like wanting to impress a woman, so you learn how to cook, and there's a very specific pan he wanted, but it was very expensive. And he's like, 30 years and they're retiring, he's like, I knew it would take that much to get the pan, but at least one day I'd have the pan. Didn't realize it'd take the apocalypse to get me one, but it's made out of copper, so it heats up quickly, but it doesn't maintain its heat like an iron pan would. But it being made out of copper means it's a better tool for torture / interrogation. And then we had that Seraphite who is bloodied up and Wang hanging out, which once again, I'm just constantly reminded, man, past couple years, they've been letting just a lot of like M-rated shows have been just letting Wang hang out. I was like, oh, just I guess you got to tip the genital scale and just be like, yeah, I got to show some penis lovers some love by putting Wang on display. Like I said, kind of, I guess, like I said, equalize things on a gender front, I guess. I don't know. But that's pretty rough to look at, and it's just like, hold out your hand and burn his hand. You're just like, oh god. Because even one of the guards was like, oh, this is kind of fucked. But he's like, no, Isaac knows what he's doing. It's on that Seraphite, because it ends up being, and even Isaac says himself, like the chicken or egg of it all, where it's like, this group, the wolves and the Seraphites, had some kind of agreement in the past, but somebody broke it. It's like, oh, you guys kill children. Well, we kill your children because your children try to kill us. It's like, well, because you try to kill us. Well, you try and kill our children too. It's a back and forth of like, you kill us, we kill you. We are at this point, we don't even know who broke the truce first. We have no idea who started the killing first, but we do it out of self-defense. It's like, no, well, we do it out of self-defense because you do this. So it's kind of like we're both fucked groups in a grand scheme of things, because you're both still killing children regardless. So but it is to perpetuate that cycle of violence where we see like, it isn't just the Ellie and Abby and Joel of it all, it is even this, where it's like the Seraphites and it's that thing, that something that's going on for so long you don't even remember fully how it started. I think it's almost one of those things where it's just like that trauma and pain is just so visceral, and you just want to make someone pay, and that retribution, that you don't care. You don't get caught up in the semantics or the details. It is what it is. You kill some of ours, we kill some of yours, and that's just how it goes. And so Isaac wants information on the Seraphites, but the guy's like, he ends up saying something interesting. He's like, you will lose this. And Isaac's like, we're armed to the gills. We have vehicles, weapons. You have weapons too, but nothing to the automatic degree that we do. But it's like, how are you going to win this? And he's like, every day you lose a wolf, they decide to become, they lose faith in you and start believing in the prophet and become Seraphites. We have not lost a single Seraphite to the wolves, in that regards of like, no one who's a Seraphite has ever become a wolf. So, and that was enough to, like when the time came, he was about to torture him some more, and the guy just holds out his hand. Isaac knew, like, right, you're too devoted, and it's a cult. You're not going to listen. So he just kills him. So, but it probably is a situation, if it probably does bother him that on some level, he probably knows that guy is right, that he has been losing people left and right, where it's like little by little, your army is being chipped away by the Seraphites because they are recruiting more and more people. Because I'm wondering, is that kind of implying that guy who's like, Jesus, I mean, what's up with this? Like that guy in particular feels like he's someone that could easily be swayed to the Seraphite side of things. So, yeah. Once again, I don't really know much about the Seraphites, just like I don't really know much about the WLF, but still. Either way, we catch up to Ellie and Dina, who are raiding a pharmacy for supplies. And Dina found something which I immediately thought, like, wait, it could be something related to Ellie, right? Because she was getting a little like nervous and weird, like the moment she left. She found something. I'm like, what is that about? But later on, we get an answer to that question, which I'm like, that thing, which we'll talk about it. I'll go ahead and mention, like her being pregnant. I'm like, I don't think I remember that from the game. I'm sure it was probably covered even to the point of the story I knew, but I probably just don't remember that at all. But I was like, yeah, what? Because at first, like I said, why would there? Because it's like the Seattle crew doesn't seem like they know about Ellie. At least that conversation never came up with Abby and them. None of that came up. It's just all about, hey, Joel, you killed a whole bunch of soldiers, you killed a doctor, and then you moved on. No conversation about like, yo, the girl he took off the operational table, operation table. So I don't know if they really know about Ellie. Um, they know no, they knew about the rumors, right? But they didn't. They thought it was all bullshit. So either way, I thought it was interesting too. Them coming across the pride flag stuff and being like, oh, is that just supposed to mean that they're optimistic? It's like, it is interesting. I mean, the symbolism is still kind of there. I mean, even though they don't know the meaning behind it, it's still kind of like, oh, there is supposed to be like pride and optimism behind it. So it, the meaning's still kind of there, even if they don't have all the meaning to it. So the symbolism is still there. I just thought that was kind of interesting. But they end up finding this tank along with a whole bunch of dead bodies. But from Ellie's point of view, it looks like these are Fedra soldiers that killed each other. So now I'm wondering, like, well, what was that about? Part of me wonders, are these supposed to be little things where it's like, oh, these are related to some of the notes from the games? Like, there are little winks and nods to those in the first season, so maybe I'm sure some of those are sprinkled in too. But I'm wondering, like, is it a situation of these were people that were turned into wolves? Like, very much like there were other Isaacs amongst Fedra who went to war with them, type of thing. Or maybe this is like when Isaac recruited a whole bunch of people from Fedra and it kind of led to an all-out war between people that were with the wolves, still with Fedra, and those who were fighting. I don't know. That was what my mind immediately goes to. But their plan is to kind of wait it out, because it's like, okay, they were going to wait till nighttime, because it's like, okay, this building with a satellite dish on it has WLF, which Dina's like, don't fall for that. Like, that's obviously, they're telling you where they're at because they want to be able to see anyone coming from a mile away, because it's like, well, we'll be looking from somewhere else. So we wait till night, and then we kind of sneak in and sneak around to see what's what. I even love later on Dina asked the question of, well, what do we do if we run into wolves that weren't there in Jackson? And Ellie doesn't say anything and just stared at her. And Dina's like, agreed, being like, we kill them all. Which was, once again, the irony too, considering Abby and her people, they got to kill Joel, so they didn't need to kill anyone else. So they killed Joel and bounced. So, they did say that's all they were there for. But they were also willing to take other people hostage. And it's like, well, would they have killed those people once they caught them, got the information they wanted? Most likely, because you can't just let them go because it would expose you. But it's like, they technically had hostages before. They technically had Ellie and mainly Dina, but Ellie for a little bit too. So, and they still let them both live. So, but it's like, if push came to shove, before you got to Joel, you probably would have killed some people from Jackson in the first place. Now it's also the situation of, are you willing to kill people who had nothing to do with the Jackson situation? Because the plan isn't just to kill Abby, it's to kill every single person that was in part of her group, because they're just as guilty for co-signing her killing Joel. So just think that's just, once again, that fascinating difference between both groups, and just, once again, that need for revenge, how deep it runs, where it's just kind of like, oh no, I'm not just killing Abby, I'm not just killing her group either. If you get in my way, I will kill you too, type of thing. So But yeah, when they're waiting for nighttime, they end up in a music store, and Ellie finds a guitar and plays. I'm wondering, is that straight out of the game? Obviously, like specifically playing "Take on Me," and obviously it. Dina getting a little emotional. It's like, oh wow, you've gotten better. It's like, yeah, everything Joel taught me, and it's just kind of a reminder. It's just kind of like I think it's almost like keeping a piece of him with her. It's like as she goes along, every step she takes, Joel is there with her. So there's kind of that niceness to it, especially because like the last time, like one of the last times, like Joel was going to like fix her guitar for her, and she was like, no, 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 it's fine. So I think a lot of that's kind of playing into this. Um, But yeah, when nighttime comes, they sneak into the building because someone had already broken before them, that being the Seraphites. Well, I was about to say, I doubt it's the one that Isaac had captured and killed earlier. I doubt it's that one. I'm sure that, because they never ran into the other Seraphites. So who knows how many actually came in. Maybe that guy's the only one that got caught because those dead bodies were something new. Those were fresher bodies. Um, because didn't Ellie find like when the bodies were held up and like split open, their intestines were hanging out. She found like pretty fresh blood on the ground. They didn't get a chance to fully investigate, so there was another Seraphite just around. Like so, I wonder how big of a pack do they kind of move in, you know? And immediately Ellie sees the sign from the dead bodies and being like, "Oh my god, it's the people we ran into." And even Dina's like, "What the fuck is going on in Seattle? We got the wolves and we got these cult people. Like they're killing, like because it's an interest. It's also it kind of plays into the larger narrative. Like I said, the whole cycle of violence, but also the narrative of, and people have kind of talked about it too. Like it's a huge point to always consider. Like if Joel wasn't our main character, if Abby was our main character, and we saw things purely through her point of view, like Joel would be the villain of her story, and Abby would be her hero, and we would side with her, knowing like why she did what she did. You still can understand it, but it's like mainly through the game, it's mainly all told from like 90% Joel's perspective. So you're with him every step of the way, versus like this with a TV show, you're getting multiple perspectives all the time and stuff like that. But it's just my point being like last episode we looked at the Seraphites like maybe they weren't the bad guys, and now we find out like, oh well, they kill men, women, and children too, just like the wolves do, and it's just like a back and forth of neither side is good. I mean, I think that's just kind of like the human nature of it all in this world. But it's just kind of that perspective of, yeah, they look like they were the poor victims that were killed. Now it's like, oh, well, we find out what the Seraphites have done. But because you don't make the argument, oh, this was just them in retaliation for what happened in the woods. But it's like, well, we find out they've done this back and forth multiple times. So it's like, once again, who's the real villain of it all? Neither side is good. Neither side's really bad. I mean, I'd say neither side's good. Both sides are bad in their own regard, but it's all about perspective. Reinforcements showed up to kind of deal with the bodies. Ellie and Dina have to sneak around. Ellie taking out that one guy, choking him out. But I mean, it's not like she killed him that way. Another guy came in. Dina shot him. Ellie slit this one guy's throat, and they bailed, running away for their lives because these guys are shooting at them. They crawl into a place to get away. They get like the WLF like circles around and starts setting off these flares trying to find anyone hitting them in this like subway station, not realizing there's cordyceps there, which draws in a whole bunch of infected. It kind of reminds me of like the Kansas City thing of no, all the infected were drove underground years ago, but they're not there. And then lo and behold, you have the like massive wave, including a bloater, and near the end of episode 5. So it kind of felt very, very similar in that regard. And this entire group of wolves got wiped. So Ellie and Dina get away, jumping into a train car that's on its side, moving through all the skeletal remains of corpses, shooting infected, getting above the train, running for their lives. That what is that thing called? Like the turnstile thing that they got stuck in, and Ellie blocking Dina and getting bit on the arm. Because I was like, I had a feeling like this would be the episode. Because like I don't even remember if I got to that point in the story where Dina finds out about Ellie. I probably didn't. Like I said, it's been so long and I don't remember. But it's like with everything going on, it's like we got to run, we got to go. And Dina's focused on it, but she's not saying anything because it's like, well, even if it takes a while, Ellie's still going to be Ellie for a little bit. But, you know, and once again, they don't always bring it up. And like I said, maybe they brought this up in the game, but I distinctly know the TV show talked about it. And in like episode 1, there's a poster about it. Depending on where you get bit can change the, I mean, it varies, I'm sure from person to person. I'm sure it's like also like a metabolism thing probably plays a role in it. But where you get bits plays a role in how fast you become infected. So either way, Dina is focused on it, and they make their way to what appears to be a hotel room, lock themselves in. Dina's got the gun pointed to Ellie, and she's like, shit. Because Ellie was so driven on adrenaline, she wasn't thinking. Like, it didn't even cross her mind, like, oh, shit, I didn't tell you, like, this. And I also wasn't thinking about it. I was just trying to make sure you didn't get infected. I mean, I'm sure there's also that little bit of element of, like, people she's come to care about that's died because of infections. Whether it's Sam, she couldn't do anything for Sam when she wanted to. Couldn't do anything for Tess, you know. And also the biggest one where it all started, Riley, not being able to do anything in that capacity. Like, this is the one time, like, yo, this is someone I care about. I will protect him from getting infected. I don't have to worry about it happening to me. And Ellie's like, I promise you I'm not going to be infected. Just like, I'm going to wrap my wound. I'm going to sleep over there. And if you get nervous, you can't shoot. You just keep the gun on me the entire time. I'm surprised Ellie was able to just fall asleep like that. Like, knowing Dina's just got her gun loaded on you. But it's also like, because Dina didn't want to have to do it. But it's like, this is the person I love and care about. And I'm not going to watch you become a monster. Which once again goes back to the whole Riley and Ellie of it all. Where it's just like, let's lose our minds together. And sadly, one of them stay behind. Because even Ellie's like, sometimes I wish it wasn't like that. That I am immune. And it's like, this is because she knows the weight of it. Whether it's the main thing you immediately was like, well, because she had to put down her best friend and the person she loved, which is like, you know, sucky. But now it's also like, the fact is, it's just a reminder of, if you get bit, you get to go on, and not everyone else in the world is that lucky. But also, how much does she really, like, she knows Joel lied to her about the Firefly situation at the end of season 1. And she doesn't, I don't know if she like knows, she has a pretty good idea, but she's not fully sure. Maybe the conversations with Gail last episode kind of confirmed some of that for what she was already feeling pretty strongly about. But she knows, like, right, I am kind of like potentially a cure for salvation, but it's like, those are like the only doctors that could do something about it. And it's like, most likely they are gone, and there's no doing anything about it. Like I said, it just depends on what Ellie's really figured out on her own. She knows Joel's lied, but whether, like, at this point it's like unclear what Ellie definitively knows and what is just her guessing and believing, you know? Because they also showcased it in episode 2 with Tess. That, like, because Tess made a point to show Joel, like, see, this is my wound. It's only been like a couple hours, maybe 2 hours or something, and look how bad it is. Look at Ellie's, same amount of time, and look, it does not look the same. Like, hers looks just like a regular bite mark, whereas you can really see the infection on Tess. And the same thing's applicable here, where it's just like, look at the mark on my arm, I'm fine. And then Dina drops the bomb, I'm pregnant. And then, like, her and Ellie proceed to have sex. So you're like, wow, that's a lot kind of getting thrown at once. But it's like, it's a rush of emotions, because even Ellie asked later, like, why now? And it's like, Dina's like, I thought you were gone. And that meant, like, everything, that future I had in my head about us kind of disappeared too. Which kind of plays into, like, a line from, I want to say, Joel in episode 2 talking to Tess. Oh yeah, it definitely had to be episode 2, where he was like, yo, you need to stop talking about this kid like she has some kind of future. And it's almost like kind of bringing that conversation a little full circle and making it so, like, Dina's on the other side being like, I thought the future we had together would be gone, because she was under the belief that this would be the end and she'd have to put down Ellie. But it's like, no, luckily you're still here. But then also, like, the pregnancy of it all. Because she reveals, like, right, she's always liked boys and girls, even from a young age. But her mom was like, no, you like boys. And even though her mom's gone, it's still there instilled in her, and that's why she tries so hard to make the Jesse thing work, because he's such a good guy, but he's not the one, and forcing it's not. And I think that's also why she had that conversation last episode too, of if it's not Jesse, it's me, because like maybe she feels like on some level Jesse knows I don't love him as much as he loves me, and that it will never be like reciprocated. Like it's just always going to be kind of like a one-way street. Like I care about you, but I would never love you the way you love me. Like there's a little bit of that. So I should also interject too. This isn't a spoiler because I'm gonna keep it to myself, because like I don't fully remember this, but like I said, just in case, I'm gonna dance around it. I think, like I said, I think the place they're holed up at by the end of the episode is a hotel. I feel like I vaguely remember that location from the game, I believe. And I think there's a certain thing that happens and I'm like, didn't that happen in a hotel? I don't remember the lead up to it. I just remember a thing happening. And I'm like, oh, that kind of came out of nowhere. So I don't know. Like I said, I could be misremembering. So, oh yeah, I should also note too, I did not realize this until someone else pointed it out. The actor who plays Jesse, his name is was it Young Mazzino? I was like, why does he look so familiar? I kept thinking he did, but I was like, oh, maybe I'm being crazy. I know him from the TV show Beef. He played Stephen Yoon's brother in Beef. I cannot believe I didn't recognize him. I was like, oh, that's why you look so familiar. That's why. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Which is also funny considering, like, once again, Stephen Yoon was Glenn in The Walking Dead, so funny zombie connection in that capacity. It's also interesting too, because like yeah, like Stephen Yeun and Pedro Pascal had an actors on actor thing for, was that Variety that does that? Where like actors interview each other. I was like, yeah, I just thought about it because I've seen clips of it, I haven't seen the whole thing. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry. Dina also asked a question of like, oh wait, I never asked if you ever wanted kids, and Ellie's like, yeah, I mean, as long as you're there. And it's like, holy crap, you're pregnant. And it's like, oh my God, this is real. We're having kids. We're having a kid. And it's like, well, I guess you, me, and Jesse. And she's just like, oh my God, I'm going to be a dad. Which I was like, I burst out laughing. I was like, I love that. That feels like such a meme response. It doesn't like, that feels like that'd be like a millennial response and not like a, I don't know why. I like that bit for whatever reason. That just really worked for me for whatever reason. But yeah, while they're kind of enjoying this moment of coming together, shit's popping off outside, and they hear the name Nora on the radio. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Toddy Gabriel's character. I think she's Nora, I believe, because Mel's the one that once again, she's the actress who plays Gert in The Runaways, but she's the one that belted. She's the medic who tied the belt around Joel's leg when he got shotgunned in the leg. But now it's like, right, we got to track down Nora, and she is our best option to find Abby. It's like, yeah, they're out of their depths, but it's like they're young and oblivious and willing to kind of go forward. But Ellie still has the wherewithal to know, like, yo, shit is popping off in the city. The Seraphites and the wolves are going at it, and she wants Dina out of the picture because it's like, your things are different now. Like me accepting your help before is different when now I know you're carrying a child. That changes everything. But for Dina, it's like, no, we're in this together, and it's like, well, Ellie does need Dina. Like obviously, like Dina's kind of keeping Ellie on track, and it's like Ellie would be severely lost without Dina, but also it's like you shouldn't have to go through this as long as too much for one person to handle. So we'll see how things play out for them. We're practically at the halfway point. This episode served as a halfway point because it's like we got 3 episodes on both sides of it. We've got 5, 6, and 7 left for this season, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with this. Will our duo find their way to Nora as stuff is popping off? Maybe we'll learn more about the Seraphites. Maybe we'll learn more about the WLF. Oh yeah, really quickly, there was also something else I wanted to talk about. It's kind of like, it's not really a spoiler, but the moment like Ellie talked about Apollo 1 and even Dina's like, what? It's like, and she kind of explained the whole Apollo 1 situation. I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's not out of nowhere. Like the fact that Ellie has that knowledge, I'm like, it has to be like it has to be a story beat thing that they're gonna cover. I was like, it's like, I feel like I remember the circumstances around that knowledge, and I was like, I'd assume they get to that this season. I don't know. There has because I think there isn't. I don't want to get into it. We'll see if that is something that gets covered this season. But it's like, yeah, it seems like so throwaway. But like her knowing that is such a very specific thing to know. And it's like, would you expect Ellie to have any knowledge about the Apollo one? Like, who would really bother teaching her that other than someone like Joel? So that's just what kind of popped in my mind, and that just kind of influences my thought process about like, well, is that going to be something that's covered too? Because like the game handled some of that stuff obviously the way it did, where you implement flashbacks throughout the game versus like the show will most likely dump it all in one episode of flashbacks rather than multiple episodes, or making like rather than doing like the Lost situation of part of the episodes present day, part of the episodes flashbacks. Either way, well, I'm running my mouth. Like I said, we're excited to see where things take us going forward from here. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.